guys. So I just wanted to pop on here and do a little introduction. I probably, if you watched my last vlog, may notice I am wearing the same shirt, and that's because I just ended my last vlog. But I think I might start a new one because my best friend is coming into town for like 4 or 5 days, and I'm really excited. And I thought it might be fun to kind of film a few little bits of our adventures over the next few days and maybe put them into a vlog. There should be some reading involved. My best friend Amanda is a massive reader too, and total book nerd. She doesn't have a YouTube, but she does have an amazing Instagram or Bookstagram, so I'll put that down below for you to check out. But I just thought it would be fun to kind of share some of our adventures as we get up to stuff, and I wanted to put a little clip on here so it kind of had some context if I jump to a clip in a second that makes no sense. So yep, that's kind of it. I just wanted to do a little intro, and now to the rest of the vlog. So I thought I would come on and kind of talk about what I've been reading. So you've probably seen clips so far of not books, but I thought, like I said in my previous clip, my best friend Amanda was here for like 4 or 5 days, and I thought it'd be really fun to kind of share what we got up to and our adventures and stuff like that. More for myself than anything else. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was just kind of a fun little montage of clips, but I also wanted to kind of add in, you know, some of the books that I've been reading over the past few days to include as well. So the first thing I wanted to mention was I did read and finish Heartless by Elsie Silver when my best friend Amanda was here. We were both reading Elsie because she's a massive fan of her and has been trying to get me to read her for a long time. So she was reading Reckless, which is an arc of Reckless that was coming out soon, and I read Heartless. I did just talk about this in my wrap up, so I'll keep it brief, but I really loved this book. It was definitely my favorite I've read from Elsie Silver so far. everyone was right. I think my expectations were high for this book, but like they met them. I loved Cade. I loved Willa. I thought the two of them really just worked as a couple. It didn't take me a minute to warm up to Cade. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he is a pretty gruff hero, and it took me a minute to kind of like understand him and kind of peel back his layers and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think the two of them worked really well together, and like, wow, was there some steamy moments in there, which I was all about. So I loved it. I loved Cade's son. I think Willa and Cade really balance each other with her kind of wild, little bit reckless ways, kind of just more of a free spirit, whereas he is just like too gruff and grumpy, and she needed to kind of lighten him, and he needed to kind of root her. So I did love Heartless. I did finish that the last day of May, so that was why it was included in my May wrap up. And then after that, I started Idle by Kristen Callahan. And this is the book that I'm reading for my like in-person book club for June. And I actually have read this book before, but it was a long time ago. Like, I didn't even have it listed on my Goodreads. But we're doing kind of a thing where each of us gets to pick a book that we love, and then like the rest of us will read it and kind of chat about whether we liked it, whether we didn't, and kind of our feelings. This one was chosen by my friend Lyric, and I really loved it. It was one of those things where like, because I had read it before, certain things were familiar, but I didn't remember any of the details. So it basically follows our main character, Killian, who is the lead singer and guitarist for a rock band called Kill John. Our heroine is Libby, who at the beginning of the story, you meet them because Killian, it's actually not funny, but it was funny the way it happened, was he shows up on Libby's lawn just completely drunk at night. He crashes his motorcycle like into the fence. He's fine. Motorcycle's not so great, and the yard's not so great, and she's just like pissed. So she like sprays this guy down. He's like covered in throw up. He looks like, she calls him lawn bum, because he literally looks like a lawn bum. And she has no idea who he is. So Libby has no idea who he is. She's pretty sheltered. She's recently lost her parents and has kind of just like closed herself off in her grandmother's farmhouse in North Carolina, I believe it is. It's like near the Outer Banks. And she's kind of just not really talked to anybody. She always talks, I really like the way they explained it. It wasn't that she was necessarily shy. She just like was almost like had a protective shell around herself, and was like, you know, she lost her parents. She really kind of pushed all her friends away and was kind of secluded. And so she kind of, I like the fact that she was kind of the grumpy one at first. She was like stomping around in her like Doc Martens, and like, but she also couldn't let this man just like just be sad and sick and stuff. So she brought him into the house, and she fed him, and she cooks all this like yummy like Southern food, like biscuits and grits and stuff. And he kind of like, Killian's gone through a lot too. Something happened in the band about a year before this, where one of the members tried to commit suicide, and he wasn't successful, but it really rocked the whole band, and they've kind of all spread out everywhere across the globe to kind of like get through it in their own way. And Killian really hasn't really played any music at all, written anything, touched his guitar for like a year, and he's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm done. And you find out throughout the first part of the book that Libby, they kind of become friends, and he actually ends up renting the house next door to her, and like basically just always is there, like kind of annoying her into letting them become friends. And I really liked this, because this really was like a friends to lovers in like a short amount of time. But like, he loves that she doesn't know who he is, and she's treating him like any other person. She's a hard person to crack. Like, you know, she has gone through a lot, and I really love the fact that they built this trust and this friendship first. And you find out that Libby actually was raised by like studio musicians who weren't famous, but music was like a massive part of her life. But she also hasn't been doing it because it's too hard after her parents' death. So I think, you know, the book kind of goes from there, and I just finished it last night, and I loved it. I've actually already read book 2 because I read book 2 a few months, I think it was like last year actually, managed. And so I did read these out of order kind of, because I originally read that one, but anyways. So I loved the first two of this. I thought the way that they handled pretty heavy subject matter, in my opinion, I thought it was handled well. I'm sure everyone has a different opinion on that, but I thought the author really balanced the heavy subject matter with the light and funny and getting to know like the bands and the guys, with the romance and like how perfect Killian and Libby were together so well. I really loved it. There really wasn't much I didn't like about this book, to be frank. It was witty, it was funny, I loved the dialogue, I loved the character growth for both Killian and Libby, I loved the guys, getting to know them, and I really do want to continue the series. Like I said, I read the first two, like this one and the second one, which is about their manager, Scotty, and I think there's two more, if not three. I know there's two more, and I really do want to continue the series. So that's been a whole lot of fun, and I read that, so I wanted to update you on that. And then what I'm currently reading, which I'm not finished with, which is why I wanted to come on here before I finish something else, was, what was it called? Is it Right Man, Right Time by Megan Quinn? I'll put a picture up for you guys. But I started this book like maybe 2 weeks ago, and then just like put it down after like 10% because I got distracted by something else. So I wanted to go back to it. I feel like I've seen really mixed things about this. Megan Quinn's writing, I've read a few in the past, and it's very specific. Like I do think her writing and her book style either works for you or it doesn't. In the past, it really has worked for me. So I picked this one up. This one is a hockey romance. Yes, it's book 3 in a series. No, I have not read book 1 or 2. Is anyone surprised? So, but I really do think you can jump into this one. This book sets up with our main character, who's a professional hockey player, and he basically, his name is Silas, and he, in the beginning of the book, gets cheated on by his very long-term girlfriend, who he was about to propose to, walks in on it. It's a whole catastrophe, and it's just kind of feeling sunk. And then our main female character is Ollie, and Ollie is actually a college student still. She's a senior in college, and so there is an age gap in this one, which I'm fine with because she's like 21 and he's 31, so it is 10 years, but I feel like it's working so far. At least I think it is, because at first she did seem a little bit younger, and that's, I mean, it's brought up a lot. Like he's like, it's off because basically Ollie is desperate in a bar because her boyfriend has recently broken up with her, and she's just feeling like awful because he's dating her like arch nemesis at her internship. And so they're in this bar, and she sees this guy who's looking, I mean, he's looking great, but he's looking a little like alone and sad. And she's like, she wants to make her ex jealous. So she literally just marches over and kisses this guy, like just to make her ex jealous, and basically pretend that he's her boyfriend. And so he is like, what the heck is going on? But then is like, okay, like maybe we should pretend that we're dating, because like he recently found out that his ex who cheated on him is going to be working for the like hockey organization, and he's like, oh my god, I can't like see her all the time. So basically they're kind of forming this relationship to help each other out, and form like a fake dating situation. I'm like 30% in right now, and I'm really liking it. I will say it's been kind of funny because Ollie has no filter. That girl says exactly what comes to her mind, and at first I felt like it was just like her being a little bit younger, but I don't think it is. I really think it's just her personality. She's very much like a ball buster, and Silas just doesn't know what to do with her, I think, and it's kind of like, wow, she's kind of like this wrecking ball that kind of rolled into his life. And I really am liking the contrast between their characters so far. She has no idea about hockey at all, but he's like obviously a really big thing, so that's kind of been fun too. So yeah, I'll hopefully update sometime throughout the week about how that book is going. The only other thing I am listening to, I figured I'd update, is I'm listening to an arc, which I've never listened to an arc off NetGalley before. But it's an arc of, oh gosh, it's the new Claire Legrand book. It's a fantasy romance, at least that's what it's saying it is, that's coming out in a couple weeks, and I cannot remember the name of it. I'll put a photo up, but I'm a little torn so far. I get the feeling it's a very long book because I have listened to it for a while and I still am only at like 30 or 40%, and there's still like 12, 13 hours left. So far I'm not sold. I'm not gonna lie, which I don't like because I don't like having to like, negatively talk about something, but I also am gonna be honest. So I was sold on this one. The reason I asked for this one is because it's a fantasy romance that said it had like Bridgerton feels meets like a fantasy novel, and like, I mean, who doesn't want to read that? So so far I like the world building. I don't like the character, the main character, our heroine. I actually like the hero quite a bit, the main like male character. So I'm hoping that like she's just somebody who's very kind of self-centered. Now here's the thing. She knows she's self-centered, and the author many times has said like she'll be talking to herself and saying like, oh man, I really shouldn't do this. Like, I know this is a bad choice. Like, I know that this is like a selfish choice, but she always gives herself a reason why she has to do it. And she has a lot going on. Like, she has like a chronic illness and things like that. So I'm willing to give it some more time. I feel like I don't want to say too much yet because I don't know. I think in a way you can start off a character like this, and if you really have great character growth throughout the book, it can really work and it can sell it. Think of like Nesta, right? I was not a fan at the start of that book. So I'm hoping that's what I'm going to be getting, and it's not that she just stays this way, because so far I just don't like, I'm not eager to pick up the audiobook, so it's been a little bit of a struggle, but hopefully I can kind of like get through that. I have like another like week and a half, I think, before I have to like have it finished, so I have some time, so I'll try and update you on that as well. Hey guys, so I wanted to come on and completely wrap up this vlog. It's gotten a little bit scattered. It's actually a couple weeks later and I haven't quite gotten it all together, so unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit of like a delayed process of getting this vlog up, but life happens. Things got kind of busy. But I wanted to just kind of finish my thoughts on the books that I just mentioned in the previous clip. I did finish, what was it? Right Man, Right Time by Megan Quinn, and I loved it. Like, really loved it. It was definitely my favorite Megan Quinn I've read before, and I don't know, it was so much fun. Like, it really was. I give it a 5 stars. To be honest with you, I can totally see why Ollie, the female main character, would sometimes annoy people, to be honest. Like, she doesn't have a filter, kind of comes across as a little bit over the top, but she just didn't annoy me. I don't know, like, it wasn't too much for me, and I loved Silas. I loved the romance so much. I love the hockey aspect, and I definitely want to continue with that series, so absolutely loved it. The other book I mentioned was, I cannot remember the title, but it was the Claire Legrand arc I was listening to from NetGalley, and I was saying before that it was not working for me. I did decide to DNF that one. I got to like, I think it was at like 40-45%, and I was having to force myself to listen to this book. I just didn't want to read it, and there were so many things that just weren't working for me in the book. It may totally work for somebody else, but I just decided I'd rather stop there and say I wasn't going to be providing feedback, because otherwise I was going to force myself through it and then just really not give it a very nice review, which, I mean, I want to be honest, I did not enjoy the book, but I just don't feel the need to necessarily force myself to finish it, if that makes sense. I just don't have time, to be honest. Like, I have not that much time to read, so when I do read, I want to enjoy the book that I'm reading. So that one was a miss for me, which is sad, because I really was hoping to find a new favorite, like, fantasy historical mix for romance, but anyways, so those are my final thoughts. Thank you guys for watching this vlog. Hopefully the next one's a little more cohesive, but hopefully you enjoyed it regardless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.